Mesech Avoda Zara Daf Samach Vav Amud Aleph. We're starting from the top of the Yomit. Cham Yohatik V'im old yayin that got mixed up with grapes. According to everybody, it asks the grapes, but Nesim Tam, by giving a taste in it by 1 out of 60th. Of course, we're going to learn if this is considered as min shein b'minay. Min b'minay, if it would have been considered as the same, then the halacha would be that it's even b'mashu. But Nesim Tam is like 1/60th. Cham chadat b'im Yayin Nesa, which is new, that got mixed up with Hanobim, is Alachliks of Amarayim. Abaya says the wine asks the grapes, even B'mashu, because he considers it as Min B'mineh. Rav Amar, the grapes are not going to be us only B'Nois Tam, only if it's going to be, only if it gives a taste of it, which is 1/60th. Abaya says, now we're going to explain the reason of Machlekes. Why Abaya said b'mashu, meaning because what is he considered as min b'minay? Why is it considered min b'minay? And Rava says b'noisem tam, obviously he holds it's min shein b'minays. Abaya b'mashu, because in order to establish two things as one min is basatayim asling. We go according to the taste. So since the tastes are the same, so it's considered min b'minay, then we say it's b'mashu. And over here, when you're talking about the new wine together with the grapes, is one taste. It's considered as min, it's of its own kind, got mixed up, and the halach is when of its own kind that gets mixed up, the halach is that it becomes also even b'mashu. Rava says no, it's 1/60th. We go according in order to establish that it should be one min, it's Basar Shmazlin, and we go after the name. And if the Is and the Heta have two separate names, even though they might taste the same, it's considered min shein b'minay. And Haish Malachud, the new wine is called Yayin, has its own name, Haish Malachud. And the grapes are called grapes. Ravalei, min b'shein b'minay. It's considered a min with not its own kind, no min b'shein b'minay, but there's some time. And when you're dealing with a min shein b'minay, then it goes 1/60th. Now we learned in the Mishnah, Yayin Nesach Shenafla Gabi Hanobim. In the Mishnah we had learned Yayin Nesach that fell on grapes, and if the grapes were cracked, then it's Asuris. Kasal Kadaitoch. We're now thinking in the Mishnah in the Havamina that it's talking about Cham Chadat Tabimvei, that even new wine got mixed up with the grapes. And we brought down the. It doesn't seem that we're talking about all kinds of cases. So from this that the Mishnah says the yayin asers the grapes, my love, is it then not b'noisem tam? How is it answering it? By if it gives a taste in it, which is 1/60th. So this is Akasha Abaya who says new wine that got mixed up with grapes is considered min b'binay is b'mashu. Says Gemara loy. You could explain the Mishnah is talking about the yayin asers the grapes b'mashu. And says the Gemara says that's impossible. I mean, the Getani from this that the Mishnah says in the Sefer Za'aklal. This is the general rule. Kol Shabbanas b'Neisem Tamasa. Anything that's mixed and gives taste into the mixture, then it becomes asa. Kol Shabbanas b'Neisem Tam mutter. But if it doesn't give a taste in it, it's mutter. Meklal b'Neisem Tamaskinan. So you can see the Mishnah is only dealing with the share of 1/60th of Nisan Tam. So the Gemara accepts this time and his maskim that the Kavanah of the Mishnah is that the Yayin asks the Anab only by Nisan Tam. And the Mishnah considers Yayin and Anab as two separate minim. So we have a problem with the Shita of Abaya who says Yayin Chodesh and Anab is considered min b'minay, it should be b'mashu. Says the Gemara Abai will say that our Mishnah is talking about that old wine got mixed up with grapes. So since they have a different taste, they're considered, even according to Abai, min shebishein aminay, because it's old wine. Vinegar of wine and vinegar of beer that got mixed up one in another. And the yayin was Isa, was yayin Nesem that got mixed up with the beer of Heter. which was beer, v'chamira the chit, v'chamira the sari, or the yeast of chitim, together with the yeast of barley that got mixed up, is a machlokes between Abaye and Rava. Abaye, the heter doesn't become asa only if in the east there's b'neisim tam. Only if there's 160th, which is according to Abaye, they're considered as one min because they're both called chaymetz. So we're going after the taste. That's what makes us two minim. And the wine, the vinegar of wine and the vinegar of beer are two separate tastes, and so too the yeast of chitim, the yeast of seidim are different. It's considered as a min b'sheina minay or min b'sheina minay b'neisam tam, and by min b'sheina minay is only 1/60th. Rava Amar that the heter is nasa b'taruvus mashu. Rava says it becomes asa with a taruvus of a mashu. Because according to him, according to Rava, in order to consider as one min, basa shmazlinan, we go after the name. And in these two things, they have the same name. Hai chalamikah, hai chalamikah. They're both called vinegar. Hai chaminamikah, hai chaminamikah. They're both called yeast. Either the yeast of the chitin, the yeast of the barley are both called yeast. And so too, by the vinegar of the wine, the vinegar of the chaymetz are both called vinegar. It's considered a taruvus of min b'minay, and having taruvus of min b'minay, the hat becomes also b'mashu. Abaye said, "Where do I know this? The bus of time has that we go in order to establish one thing that it should be considered as one mean. We go according to the taste that they have to have the same taste." Says the Gemara, the Tanan that we learned in the Mishnah Masechta Allah, Tavlin, spices of Easter, that they spiced the food. There was 2 or 3 shemes of different names of spices, and they were all considered one min. Whether it was if one had a name, white spice, black spice, long spice, and they're all the minim of spices. And even though they have different names, or min shleisha, or the different meaning these 3 different meaning of spices could combine and make asurin, and make it us. Even though that in each spice on its own there wasn't enough to make it also, because we're talking about the tavlin that were also because they were truma u'mitztarfim, and they were in the Meichel mitztarfim. We say, but we combine all of them to ask the food that it fell into, to ask in combination, to ask it as having the amount of a shear to ask it. Chizkiah said in this Mishnah, the reason why these 3 different minim are combined to asa the Meichel, mipnei shahacha, here in our Mishnah, we're dealing with something that makes it sweeter. So since all these tavla are making it sweeter, it's considered as one min. Since they are fit to sweeten the kedera, so therefore they're considered as one min. Okay, so therefore they combine and asa the tafshil. It's understood if you go according to the taste in order to establish it as one min. The taste is what establishes as one min, and that's why they're all combined to asa the tafshil, even though they have different names. Because all of them have the same taste. Like Chizkiah said, they're all there to sweeten the tafshil. But if you're going according to the names that establish the minim. Like Rava said, that you go after the name. So why are they combined? Each one has its own name. One has name white spice, one has black spice, one has long spice. Rava will say, who's this Mishnah following? Rab Meir. Rab Meir. Time that we learned in Abraisa. Rab Meir. Yehuda says the name of Abnei How do we know all these of the Torah are combined one with the other? It says that you should not eat anything that's abominable. So here we learn out anything that is abominable to you, meaning that I asked you to eating is included in the Isser of eating. So according to the Dasha Havameya, you mitzaref not only a dafka of the same min, even of many minim, of different minim. Whether it's different minim mitzad its taste, or whether it's a different minim mitzad its name. And since the Mishnah is like Rabbeya, so therefore you have no raya that two minim which are similar in taste, because is considered as one min. Even if it's two minim, according to Rabbeya, it gets combined. Vinegar that fell on a barrel of wine. According to everybody, the wine doesn't become asa only tam in the wine, because the vinegar is different than wine, whether it's the name or the taste, and they are considered as two separate minim. So it's b'noisem tam. But in the case that where the wine is the wine that fell into the vinegar, which is a mutter, is a machlekes between Abai and Rav. Abai, the wine asks the vinegar mashu. Even by a mashu, Rav Amar, it becomes only b'neisem tam, only if it's 1/60th. Abai, so what's this explanation? Abai mashu. Abai says b'mashu because he holds reiche chala v'time chamra, that the wine of the smell of the smell of in vinegar, and its flavor is wine, is considered vinegar, and the wine, when it's spilled into the barrel of vinegar, took on the smell of the vinegar from the minute it reached even the airspace of the barrel which had vinegar. So therefore it's considered min b'mina because it took on the same smell. Chol taru is min b'mina b'masho. Any taru is min b'mina is b'masho. Rava says the chaymetz is nasa only if b'neisim tam, only by 1/60th. Reiche chala v'tayim achamra, that the reiche is taka smell of vinegar, but the taste is still wine. So chamra, the wine it has a din like wine. Since the wine, the taste of wine is wine, and the smell is vinegar, so it's a min b'shein minay. Min b'shein minay b'noisem tam, and min b'shein minay is a b'noisem tam. So the Gemara high bas this hole that they had in the seal in the cover of the wine, from where to test the smell, if the wine is good and is strong, that it will last. If a guy smells the yain of a yid shapadami, it is good. And there's no chiddush in this, because we know a guy could smell the wine of a yid. He's not doing anything to make it yain nasach. So he says, the Taisa says the chiddush according to Abaye who asks that for a yid to smell the wine of a guy. The chiddush is that we're not going to ask a guy to smell the wine of a yid because of Xedav. Maybe your soul will smell the wine of a yid. But if a yid is smelling the wine of the guys, is a machlokes between Abai and Rabba. Abai Amar also lost his cane. Abai says it's forbidden. Rabba says it's mutter. Zog Yimar Abai Amar, so it's forbidden because he holds Reicha Milsi. He says Reicha is considered a davar chashuv, and it's considered as if he ate it or drank it. Rabba Amar mutter Reicha la Milsi. Reicha is not considered as a davar mamashi because it didn't enter physically his goof. Rabba said, from where do I know to say the Reicha? From where do I know to say B'negayah to the smell? Okay, so the Gemara says, from where, again, from where do I know that the smell is not considered as anything according to Rava? It's not that we learned in the Mishnah. Tana she'isik b'kamain, oven that one lit with the spice called kumain or kamain, which was of truma, and that's how he heated it up. And he baked bread. It passes mutter because Abaya says, Rabbi says because the flavor of the kumin, it didn't go into the bread. It's only that the smell is there. You only have the smell of kamain, of that spice. So it's not a davar mamashi, therefore it's mutter for azar to eat the pas, even though you're smelling the reich of truma. Abaya, who says it's asa, shiny hasam. So according to Abaya, what is he going to answer? If Reicha Milsi, why is it mutter? He says the mikla yisudei. It's talking about here. It's different because the isa the kakamein, the spice, was burned. So the smell of taka of the kamain stalk that entered the bread was burnt by the fire, and therefore it's mutter. Zog the Gemara, Amari said that the machlik is similar to the machlik or the same machlik as the Mishnah Masechta Trumas. Harei the pas chama, one who detached a hot loaf of bread from the oven, and he placed it at the opening of the barrel of wine of truma. Rabmeya asks the pas for any zar that's not a koyim because the bread draws in it the smell of the wine of truma, which is also for others to have. I know from Rabbi Yehuda Mater. Rabbi Yehuda says mutter. Rabbi Yisi says pasha chitim is mutter, but pasha sha'irim abali is aser. Because a bread of barley draws the smell of the wine much more than chitim. This is what they're arguing about. The Mar, so Rabbi holds Reicha Milsi, that the Reicha has a chshivas as if you're eating or drinking it, and therefore the bread is also Mar Saba, and Rabbi Yehuda holds Reicha L'Lam Kolmei. He says that the smell itself is zero, as long as it didn't physically enter his body. It's not considered as eating it. The Rabba Avoda Tanoi says, according to Rabba, for sure the machlekes is a machlekes of Tanaim. And Rabmeya surely doesn't hold like him, because Rabmeya asks the bread. And you cannot be mafarish only if the reich is a davar mamashi. According to Rabba, he has to be made that the machlekes that it's a machlekes of Tanaim, and his shita only goes according to Rabbi Yehuda. That's matit. But Lafi Abayo says Reicha Milsi was a davar chshivas, so it should be us. Who says it's a Tanai? You don't say it's machlokes between Rabbi and Rabbi Yehuda. You could say even you could be meyashav his words even according to Rabbi Yehuda. You could say that even Rabbi Yehuda b'derech klal holds Reicha is milsehi. And this, that they were mated the bread, because according to Rabbi Yehuda, the wine didn't enter into it. into the bread. But in the case of Bastia, where the smell of the wine went into the guf, so Rabbi Yehuda would be us, is made that it's has to do so, like the Shita of Abaya. So Abaya will answer, really everybody holds like my opinion, is Kedama Hamashi. Love me, eat my Allah. Have we not said on this Mishnah, Rabbi Reish Lakish? Rabbi Chana had said in the name of Reish Lakish that the pas chama v'chavas psucha, by warm bread and an open barrel, everybody says the pas is also, because in such a case, for sure, the smell of the wine went into the bread. The pas nenes, but by a cool loaf of bread, and it was v'chavas megufa and a closed barrel, and according to everybody, it's mutter. The whole argument was by a hot loaf of bread and a closed barrel, or cool bread and open barrel. So that Meir holds, even in these cases, the smell does go into the bread, and according to Rabbi Yehuda, he says in these cases, the smell does not go into the bread. And therefore the pas won't become asa in these cases, only in a case where it's hot bread that's on an open barrel, that's what will be asa. Al kapanim, even Rabbi Yehuda says, hey chamilsi. So you could say, hadidi nami, that this case of Bastia, he holds the pas, kipas cham v'chams psuchadami. He'll say by the case of Bastia, where there was a hole in the barrel, and the person smelled it to see if it's going to last or not. That's considered as a milsahi, and it's truma, and it'll have a din like warm bread over open barrel. That all the Tanai will be masking that reicha milsahi according to Abaya.